We find ourselves in a moment of extraordinary confusion, where the lines between conviction and performance, truth and illusion, are blurring at an alarming rate. A moment when, disturbingly, political enthusiasm might be measured not in passion or principle, but in dollars and cents. A moment when movements that claim to be grassroots may, in fact, be carefully fertilized by hidden hands and ideological agendas.
They claimed there was 30,000 people, but they got all the cell phone data and they found out there's 24,000 cell phones. So they fudged it a little bit. That sounds normal. But they also said that a huge number of these people had been to 20 plus events and a lot of other different progressive events. And it seems like, at least on some of them, for sure, they were paying people. So they're giving people money to get on a bus, go to this place, here's your sign, go have fun. And so you're doing something different, right? You're pretending that these people are all coming out to see you, but they're coming out to see you because you're giving them money and free food.
Right.
And, you handed out water bottles and everybody gets a sign and everybody seems like they're kind of a part of a team. And for a lot of losers, a lot of people that don't have things going well in their life, and what do we, I was a loser at many points in my life. There's somebody called me up and said, hey man, you want to make $400 and just go to this Kamala Harris rally? I'm like, yeah, let's go. I would 100% go. I would 100% go with no political, and then I'd probably think she's cool. I'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking voting for her, dude. He's Hitler. That guy, we got to stop Hitler. And I'd be holding up that stupid sign. If you found me when I was 21, 100% I would have taken that $400.
Yeah.
They were giving out $1,000 for people to protest. I think it was Tesla. I'm not sure about that, but I think it was Tesla. So they had the rules of engagement. If someone comes after you, hit them in the body, don't pick up an object unless they pick up an object first. Are you organizing gangs? Are you guys paying money for people and then literally saying to them, here's what happens if you engage in violence? Why is that even on the table? I thought you guys were peacefully protesting. Who's going to get how many pro-Tesla fucking hooligans are out there beating people up for Tesla? Is it fucking zero? I've not seen a bunch of pro-Tesla gang members out there. So what are you going to encounter with this anti-Tesla movement? The police? Who's going to stop you from who's going to engage with you? You're kind of talking in a way that at least puts it on the table that violence might take place. And you're paying people.
Yeah. And because they destroyed language, now it sort of logically makes sense, right? If these people are Nazis, if you actually thought they were Nazis,
right?
If you actually thought Nazis had taken over your country, you'd pick up a gun.
I shouldn't need $1,000 and free lunch. $1,000 and free lunch ain't crazy.
You need to smooth things over, man.
You need to subsidize your movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would have a hard time doing the $1,000 one. I'd be like, bro, we're going to jail. I'd be like, I'm not that stupid. I'll hold the sign. I'll go to the rally. But if I was 21, they said, look, $1,000, want to protest against Tesla? I'd be like, hold on. What happens if we get arrested? This guy's rich. You light his fucking cars on fire, stupid. He's the richest man on earth. What are you talking about?
Recently, a prominent media figure raised a concern that cuts to the heart of democratic legitimacy. Are people being paid to protest? To rally? To express what should be the deepest convictions of their political soul? He claimed that individuals were offered $400 to $1,000 to attend protests, specifically those aimed at high-profile targets like Tesla. And more than that, these participants were given instructions. Rules of engagement, they called them. Advice on when to strike, what objects to use, and how to behave, not as citizens expressing ideas, but as operatives in a simulation of civil unrest. Now, what does this reveal? It reveals a deep moral and cultural crisis, one that we must address with both reason and emotion, with compassion for the individuals involved and uncompromising criticism of the systems that manufacture this political theater. We are not merely talking about crowds holding signs. We are talking about manufactured legitimacy. About public deception masquerading as activism. About political expression becoming a commodity, auctioned off to the highest bidder, reducing truth to strategy and dissent to performance. This moment calls for clarity, for constructive dialogue, and for the courage to ask difficult questions. Are these protests born from genuine conviction, or from financial coercion? Do the people marching understand the ideas they represent, or are they just fulfilling a transaction? What happens when political expression becomes contingent on payment, rather than principle? These questions are not meant to insult or demonize those who participate, but rather to demand accountability from the architects behind the curtain. Because if we lose authenticity, we lose truth, and with that, democracy itself begins to erode. And let us be clear, this is not a partisan issue. The manipulation of appearances undermines all of us. It cheapens the integrity of real protesters, those who march not for money, but for meaning. Those who speak not to be seen, but because they must. This episode also demands self-reflection. As the speaker admitted, had he been 21 and offered that money, he might have taken it. That is not a confession of hypocrisy. That is a moment of intellectual humility. It is a recognition of the human vulnerability that lies beneath political action. Many are lost. Many are looking for a place to belong. And when someone offers cash and camaraderie, who can blame the individual who says yes? But it is precisely because of this complexity of human nature, our mix of aspiration and desperation, that those in power must be held to higher standards. It is easy to exploit the lonely. It is easy to hire applause. But it is not leadership. Leadership, in a democratic society, demands more than optics. It demands truth. It demands a commitment to free speech that is honest, not staged. To dialogue that is difficult, not orchestrated. And to protest that grows from conscience, not contracts. When you subsidize belief, you don't just distort democracy, you corrupt the soul of public discourse. Now, some might ask, what's the harm if a few people are paid to hold signs? The harm is not in the sign. It's in the erosion of trust. It's in the disillusionment of those who truly care. And it's in the weaponization of emotion, where language is so twisted, and stakes are so inflated, that people are told, if they're Nazis, then violence is justified. But when every opponent becomes Hitler, and every cause becomes war, the space for reason dies. And what replaces it is moral hysteria, a force that can rationalize anything, even violence, under the banner of virtue. We must resist this collapse. We must return to the value of clear communication, careful speech, inquisitive debate, and systematized knowledge. We must create an environment where genuine ideological engagement is possible, where truth is not filtered through payment, but through principle. This controversy isn't about one protest or one target. It is about how we live together as a society. It is about whether we can trust what we see, believe what we hear, and find meaning in political participation again. So let us approach this with empathy, for those whose financial situation made them vulnerable. Let us approach it with critique, for those who used them as pawns. And let us pursue truth with clarity, humility, and a refusal to participate in the charade. Because in a world full of illusions, authenticity is the most radical act of all. Let the protests be real. Let the speech be free. And let the truth, not money, be what moves people into the streets.